Hi everyone, hope you guys are having a great weekend. I want to have a quick update based on the China and US trade tensions. Definitely an alternative perspective. What if a trade deal is going to be done next week? I think it's a classic case of the boy who cried wolf. Eventually the wolf shows up and eventually the boy gets eaten. And I think that's what's going to happen. Right now there's been so much deals, no deals between the United States and China. Motivated in many aspects due to elections or whatnot. However, there's been an awful lot of damage done to China in terms of the economy's in a bear market, it's underperforming, and their equities absolutely destroyed. But China have a weapon too. We know that the US government is underfunded and pension liabilities are coming due. And China have a massive treasuries holding. What if they start to sell it? It would force the interest rate higher, force the United States either to go into quantitative easing or default on their debt if they weren't smart enough to transition. Obviously, I don't think they're going to default on their debt. They don't have to, and I don't see why they would, so I don't think that'll happen. But they have a weapon there that most people don't seem to consider that as an option also. The reason I say that is because this weekend I spent probably 8 hours looking over charts in every single different asset class. And in most cases, I'm seeing the S&P 500 is about to break higher. I'm seeing emerging markets about to break higher. I'm seeing China about to break higher. Not just see China break higher, but specific stocks within China that have been leaders, they look like they put in a bottom. Across the board, I'm definitely seeing some sort of transition that we didn't see before. Currencies, I think the dollar has peaked. Now, I think the dollar has peaked probably on a transitory basis for right now, but it definitely looks like the last 2 days, Thursday and Friday, last two trading days, put in some sort of at least near-term top. All of this is signaling that maybe there's going to be a trade deal because I don't know what else it's going to be. It's certainly not going to be the infrastructure spend, not this early. And even if you look at gold, for argument's sake, I was being, as some of you guys know, I tried to get into gold during the summer. It didn't work out. Been sitting on the sidelines watching that for some time. And I was expecting up until this week that gold made a new low, and that would be ultimately the low, and that would line up with bond yields peaking out. It's still my primary view, but it wouldn't surprise me if a low was already in. Obviously, so you guys know my top-down process. A part of that is technical analysis, and the chart pattern wouldn't stack up. Chart pattern doesn't always have to stack up. But I'm watching it and I'm quite intrigued about what's happening right now. And I'm wondering, is emerging markets, which is outperforming the S&P 500, is large cap China, which is outperforming the S&P 500 right now. They look like, the ratios look like there's a bottom in. I'm wondering, is there going to be a trade deal next week? The reason I don't think it's infrastructure spend is because with an infrastructure spend, they need to agree on funding. They've agreed for a very, very long time that they need new infrastructure in the United States, but they can't agree on how it's going to be funded. And because they can't agree on how it's going to be funded, I think there's just going to be a long, drawn-out wait before they come up with the means to initiate that infrastructure spend. It definitely feels like something is going to happen. Be open to the idea that, on a contrarian view, this is a case of the boy who cried wolf, and the wolf is going to show up, and we're going to actually see a trade deal. That would be something interesting that I would certainly take very seriously this week. If that's the case, you guys should know by now how to react. This is something that's been going on for several months now, and you would expect the inverse of what has happened over the past couple of months. China, emerging markets, they would all outperform. Maybe the Australian currency actually catches a bid. The chart pattern, again, it doesn't stack up perfectly, but it doesn't always have to. Anyway, that's a couple of thoughts. We're about to start the week. We'll know very soon whether that's correct or not. And if so, look at assets that have really underperformed, that have been directly affected by the trade war narrative and actions within the trade war, and look for the inverse of that. And that's how I'd be approaching it. But manage your risk effectively and position yourself correctly and take advantage of the move should it come. And as I said, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a formal agreement this week. Anyway, guys, that's my thought of the day. If you guys have any feedback on that, I know it's contrarian. I know it's a little bit left field, but I do think there is actually a higher probability than most people expect. So do expect something like that may happen this week. So if you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section below, and have a fantastic day. All the very best, everybody.